Welcome to Nonsense Season 4, Episode 19, our big story and our second show of the week. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm CJ Little.
We're not here next week, but this time we're looking at the real reason the government is hiding their UFO data. Up next.
They just can't find it. It's like in a hoarder's den.
Yeah.
They have no idea where it is.
We can't release it.
I told them years ago, use Dewey Decimal, and they're just like, nope.
It's just yellow pad after yellow pad after yellow pad with no system of organization.
It's one of those Indiana Jones warehouses, but it's all just yellow pads.
Totally.
That's all it is. Just yellow pads all the way down. Are you sure? What is this? Watergate? No, just keep going. Fission? What's this? What's that over there?
Okay, the 2026 transparency mandate, the silent war of UAP data. Let's go.
Of all the mandates, the transparency one is my favorite.
Because you can see through it?
Because you can see right through it. Hi-ho!
From H.G. Wells' tentacled invaders to Spielberg's wide-eyed botanist, our cosmic imagination has evolved alongside our own insecurities. We've dreamed up little green men, skin-walking doppelgangers, and cold biomechanical predators, each reflecting a specific era of existential dread. Nanu nanu. Yet while our fiction has grown increasingly bold, official data has remained locked in a vault, guided by a silence that's more about hardware than human panic. Our government's reluctance to dump their files isn't just about avoiding ontological shock. It's a strategic calculation involving the sensor trap. Releasing high-fidelity, unidentified aerial phenomena data risks exposing the classified capabilities of the very satellites and radar systems used to track them. Admitting the neighbors are here means admitting exactly how well we can see them, and by extension, how well we can see our earthly rivals. Only now, as public pressure and 2026 transparency mandates collide, is the national security seal finally cracking, trading tactical security for a long overdue look at the stars. And so it seems like the perfect time to examine the modern xenological landscape, from analyzing the mathematical probability of existence to the physical and biological realities of non-carbon-based life.
Xenological?
Xenological, yes. And I'm sticking by it.
Polysyllabic modern-day English Socrates? Who the hell are you?
It's a thing they put in your gum. It's delicious.
It keeps it chewy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
That makes sense. Now, there's some alien tech I can get behind. Gum that doesn't go bad. I've seen Willy Wonka. I know how it works. That dude was not from here.
Listen, had I made the production meeting, my first question would have been, why are we telling this story?
Well, first of all, who doesn't want to talk about aliens?
Yeah,
that's
okay.
amazing.
All right.
So, I mean, that's really the answer. I've been waiting 200 episodes on this show just to talk about aliens. But what reminded me about aliens and the fact that they exist, and we should talk about them.
Yes.
Last month, somebody placed a very peculiar bet on the prediction market Kalshi.
Okay.
Literally at 7:45 p.m. Eastern time, which I think might be relevant.
And the time's important because why?
It was post-dinner time on the East Coast. I'll let you know, right after the McDonald's delivery.
Okay.
A single trader put down nearly $100,000 on the claim that by the end of December of this year, 2026, the Trump administration will confirm that alien life or technology exists somewhere in our universe.
And you are thinking it's like the guy who made the big bet about there being a streaker at the Super Bowl. You think Trump himself has laid this bet and then because he can control the outcome.
Okay, maybe. But let me give it a little more context.
Okay.
35 minutes later, another bet, almost twice as large, was placed, potentially by the same person we don't know.
Okay.
So maybe
he realized if I can control the outcome by releasing the data myself, I might as well put more money on this thing.
It's completely possible that there's some overexcited UFO diehard with a hunch and some money to burn, right? Maybe they sold some crypto.
Yeah.
Fine. And they wanted to create a news cycle. Maybe that person hosts a show called Nonsense. I don't know. It's possible. I'm saying it's possible. But it's also possible it's somebody with some modicum of inside information.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
another option.
Somebody could control the outcome.
It could have been the aliens themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe they just want to have a coming out party and this is the way they I don't know. I'm just saying
that's the way they finance it.
A couple $100,000 was placed on this bet. And I think that's mildly interesting. And I was like, oh, we should probably talk about aliens.
Okay.
The best I could tell, supposedly in 1990, the Vegas odds of, quote, the disclosure, right? The disclosure of alien information, confirmation of life or technology.
Giving out the information that we have from Roswell.
The odds of that, this is what, 35 years ago, were 1 in 10,000. That was the odds they ascribed to that.
Okay.
According to prediction markets today, those odds are 1 in 3.
So highly likely.
So, well, 1 in 3 isn't highly likely. It's 33%. I'll help you with the math there.
Yeah, thanks.
But it's not a certainty, but like that's a lot better than 1 in 10,000. And as you know, prediction markets, they're incredible.
Well, Okay, two thoughts.
Oh, boy.
Number one, it is Trump in office.
Sure.
The unthinkable is now very, very likely.
Sure.
So the fact that we were holding this data back for some reason,
Sure.
Trump is very likely just to spill the beans because, that's what he does.
Sure.
And two, prediction markets blow.
No.
They do. Trust me, as a sports fan,
No.
when it comes to closely matched teams,
sports
they are
fan.
wrong as often as they're right.
That's garbage, though.
Kalshi and Polymarket are staffed by drunks.
Well, okay. That was Jeff Parker on Nonsense. I'm
They are.
CJ Little, so I can say my name clearly there. I want them to know who is who, so that when the lawsuit comes in, hopefully it just names you and not the show.
Excellent.
Okay, sports, I'm going to set aside. Sports betting, to me, who knows?
Clearly, the people in the prediction markets don't.
Well, okay, look, there is research from the University of Pennsylvania and the Iowa electronic market that shows that prediction markets often outperform expert forecasters because they aggregate dispersed information without ideology or public pressure or narrative inertia or any of that crap. But we should save that for another episode.
Whoa. So outperform expert forecasters. Well, okay, that's not a high bar.
How often do you old man yell at your weather app? It says it's cloudy. I see the sun right there. What? No.
Never. My weather app is so accurate these days.
So good. I know.
Rain will start in 7 minutes. It knows down to
6
the
minutes and
minute.
58 seconds the first drop hits. And you're like, well, it could have done a little better. It's pretty close. But
Sure.
I do feel like we should have more weather side bets on Kalshi. That would be fantastic.
Yes.
Let's set prediction markets aside. I think we should come back and revisit those. I think they're fascinating.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we should talk about aliens. And that was the context of the show, right? Why would you not want to talk about aliens?
Help yourself, please. Go ahead.
Morky Mork and the Funky Bunch.
I know.
He was an alien.
The U.S. has kept our UFO data secret because it's sensors. How do we know these things? How can we see everything? And they don't want to reveal all that information or the lack of what we can and cannot see. Probably just as important, we don't tell people what we can't see.
Sure.
And so they don't want to reveal the information about what we've seen or not seen. Tell what our sensors are. So yeah, that's why they're hush hush.
When
about
you
it.
say it that way, you sound like Fletch. It's all sensors these days. Well,
It is all sensors.
Sure.
Think about all the different kinds of sensors that we have. The ones that aren't, ones you can buy at the hardware store. The ones you can't buy on Amazon.
good ones.
The industrial ones.
The ones that aren't $8 for 100 on AliExpress.
We have some
Okay.
serious stuff.
Yeah. What kind of sensors are you thinking about?
I am thinking about overhead persistent infrared.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's pretty cool.
We are constantly looking at the heat of the Earth
Sure.
so that we can tell things. They can detect the heat of a single plane crash or a forest fire or
Like instantly, too, right?
a tactical missile launch. Yeah, exactly. From thousands of miles away in geostationary orbit.
Turns out anything interesting that happens typically has a heat signature. So if you can look at all of the heat signatures that are out there, you can see all sorts of interesting stuff. That is pretty cool.
We scan the Earth every 10 seconds.
Wow.
Space-based airborne moving target indicators. Basically, these are the motion detectors of 2026.
Okay.
The Space Force is pouring billions of dollars into shifting aircraft-based tracking like the old E3 AWACS.
AWACS. But I think the point you're trying to make is that with these sensors, if they released information from that, it would basically show their hand of what they could detect, right? That's kind of the point.
Right. They can detect very small, fast-moving objects like stealth fighters, cruise missiles, anywhere on the planet in real time.
It's amazing what a few $1 trillion a year will buy you. This is the whole point about engineering, right?
You got a big enough checkbook.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're willing to take smart people, put them through school, get them focused on a purpose, and then just say, hey, we're going to take some time and some money and throw it at this crazy proposal.
We're going to throw a fire hose of money at this and we're going to send a man to the moon.
We can do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Phased radar and solid state phased array radar systems. They can track an object the size of a baseball from over 20,000 miles away.
Yet somehow we can't call balls and strikes reasonably. We can track a baseball from space, but you get inside a ball field and all of a sudden the strike box is the size of a U-Haul truck. I don't understand. We're not using the technology well. That's why we can't disclose alien technology, because the MLB would be hosed. They would be absolutely hosed.
I've got a hunch the U.S. government has more money to spend on this than the MLB.
Than the MLB? I don't know. I feel like it's going the other way.
Just my guess.
I would like to see Doge hire Shohei.
One more. Electro-optical multispectral imaging. What we think of as cameras, but like on a major scale.
But you can't say cameras because that would be way uninteresting.
You can buy 30 centimeter resolution imagery, enough to make out like the markings of a car from a company like Maxar or Planet Labs. Supposedly, there are classified birds who can get much better resolution, like sub 10 centimeter resolution.
That's crazy.
Early 2026 is a major push for nighttime EO that can capture high resolution visible light images without the sun, essentially turning the night into days to surveillance. By the way, my surveillance cameras with the big sensors can all see in the dark too.
Sub 10 centimeters. So just for our American friends listening to the show, that's less than like 4 inches, which is the kind of nuts. That's a third of a Subway sandwich.
That's a good way to put it. That's the way we can all understand
That's the units we need. Yeah, Americans aren't going to understand centimeters or inches.
No, you're right.
A third of a Subway sandwich. That you could tell if it was ham and cheese or a BLT from space. That's what we're talking about here.
So this is why we don't want to reveal what we've seen, because this would reveal how we were able to see it. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, but not in the 50s. In the 50s, you had like a guy with binoculars.
This is a crazy story. When the Brits figured out radar, they didn't want to reveal that they had created this thing called radar.
Sure.
And it became very obvious to the German pilots that the British people could see anything. And they were like, those Brits, they have cat eyes. They have the most amazing vision on the face of the earth.
How can they do this?
And so the British created this huge lie that eating carrots gave you great vision. That's where that whole thing came from.
Is that where it comes from?
Yeah. And it's
beta carotene doesn't do anything for your eyes?
The lie was so good, it hangs around even today.
Sure.
They hired Walt Disney and all these other people to make all these propaganda films about eating carrots. It was never true.
But
that was how they were hiding the fact that they had created radar.
I thought the beta carotene actually helped your overall eye health. Is that not true?
Won't improve.
Wow.
Won't give you super eyes.
Now,
absolutely made up.
Did they do this? Like, did they pick carrots because like there were no carrots in Germany? Like carrots were only for the noble elite or something?
They wanted you to change your garden so that it was edible food. And so potatoes and carrots and things you could grow easily. And so they wanted to give you a reason to grow those carrots and say, well, you eat the carrots, you have this incredible vision. Well, but it wasn't true.
That's a long way to go for that. We're going to get a bunch of people to place carrots so we don't have to buy them eyeglasses. Let's see what happens.
Well, no, it was really so the Germans wouldn't figure out we'd created radar.
Yeah, but then what ends up happening is 3 months later, some spy defects to Germany and just tells them all the answers anyway. That's how it always goes.
Sure. Well, I'm sure at some point they found out.
Yeah.
Anyway, E.T. boy, tell me why we think there might be actually life on other planets. Just because there are trillions of other exoplanets, that doesn't mean
Have you ever watched an episode of Maury Povich? How can there not be life on other planets?
I have not.
It's not hard to get over that hump. Current models indicate something like a 97.6% probability that the number of civilizations in the universe is greater than one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nuts. Like the math tells you.
Tell me how you get to that model, because that just sounds like it's complete made up, like variables that you just pulled out of the air.
Oh, yeah. Just know those three numbers look good together, I think is what they came up with. They're just like a 9, a 7. It was basically a show on Price is Right.
And if you make it specific enough, you believe it, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you had 2 more decimal spots, you would go out and buy an alien shirt. I guarantee.
Totally.
No, there is real math behind this. And I feel like we should talk about a couple things. We should talk about the math of aliens, because I do think that is important.
Yeah.
We should talk about the extraterrestrial function of geology and biology, sort of those things, because I think those get lost in the shuffle quite a bit.
Okay.
I believe we should talk about our Earthly Welcoming Committee and what they've done, which is awesome and concerning at the same time.
Sure.
And then finally, maybe let's chat about why they would even come here. Why would the extraterrestrials...
Why the aliens would come here?
Want to come here, right? Like some real reasons that maybe they'd want to come.
Because we have the good custard.
We do have the good custard. They're here for the flan. That's all they're here for is the flan. That's it.
You fly the entire universe. Yeah. That's the one that has the flan. Make sure you stop there.
Yeah. Creme brulee, like, nope, here for the flan. Okay.
Get the flan.
And that's how the aliens got diabetes, right there.
Okay, go ahead. Start with the...
We're talking about the math, right?
Start with your alien math.
So I told you it was like 97.6%, which is a huge number. How do you get there?
Yeah.
So the way that we sort of look at this is through the lens of something called the Drake equation.
Yes.
It actually goes back to Frank Drake in 1961. Are you familiar with him?
Yeah, he had a big feud with Kenneth Lamar.
Okay, this is going to be one of those shows.
Yeah.
No, Frank Drake in 1961 came up with this construct to provide an agenda for the first scientific meeting on the search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
Sure.
Right. So this is early 60s. We've refined some of the variables in this quite a bit, especially in the past couple of years, because of some of the exoplanet hunting missions like Kepler and TESS. Those have sort of helped us identify that. But I want to talk about the original equation because it still applies today. You have 7 factors that are multiplied together. So the intent of these factors is that everyone...
7 numbers you pulled out of thin air.
No.
That you multiply together and somehow you're... Okay, go ahead.
No. Math and science, this is how it works. We're trying to make an approximation.
Okay, great.
Which, by the way, I will say the other day, let's just talk about applying factors. A friend of mine the other day said, hey, do you know how many napkins McDonald's uses? He's like, in the US per year, because he was bidding on this business. I did the math in my head. I did multiplication. I approximated how many McDonald's were in the US based on how many Subways I know there are, and then a factor. So see, a factor. And then I approximated how many orders I think they get per minute, how many hours they're open, and how many napkins per order. My answer was 15 billion napkins per year, which is quite a guess. Because who knows? It could be 100 times that, it could be 100 of that. The answer apparently is 25 billion. So, English boy, doing a bunch of math together apparently works. That's my point, is I'm getting back to aliens from number of napkins.
Okay, but I can sort of guess how many customers McDonald's has on a given day. I can sort of guess how many burgers or whatever. So
just apply that to aliens.
In this case, you're just pulling things out of space. I don't even know. Are there billions of planets? Are there trillions of exoplanets? How many are there?
That's how you approximate.
Go ahead.
That's how you approximate. Okay.
Tell me your adorable, cute little math.
Okay. I see how this is going. It's fine. You're going to have to give up your cell phone and go back to using things that are just made out of art.
Okay.
If you're not going to accept the math.
I like that.
The rough rate of star formation in our galaxy.
Yes.
You start with that as a number, right? We refine that number to
That's a real number.
It's a real number.
Yeah, that's a real number.
Between 1.5 to 3.
Yeah.
That's the rate of star formation, roughly, within our galaxy.
That's the mean rate of star formation. Yeah.
The fraction of stars that have planets.
Okay.
We refined that approximation to be 1, by the way. We think all stars have planets, which is kind of interesting, or at least the vast majority of them.
Sure.
Here's where it gets real.
Most of those I'm going to grant you, those are real numbers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you approximate real numbers, or you see a real number, you're like, that's a 6, that's a real number. I see that. I've recognized that.
No, I'm authenticating Frank's work on the first 2 points.
That 7 with a hat on it, not a real number. It's a 7 wearing a hat.
Not a real number.
Average number of planets that can potentially support life.
Pulled out of thin air.
Well,
what? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just in the habitable zone of the Milky Way, we estimate there are somewhere between 300 million to a billion rocky exoplanets.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's just in the Milky Way.
Yeah.
The fraction of habitable planets that actually develop life, we have no idea.
Of course not.
We really have no idea on this one. So this one is like...
So divide by 0. Your equation
You're
is
not
now
dividing, you're multiplying. You can multiply by 0 and get 0, first of all. So it's not undefined.
Totally.
But clearly the answer is not 0. Why is the answer not 0?
I don't know. It's unknown.
Well, because not according to this show, but according to other people, there is intelligent life on this planet. So the answer is not 0, my friend. We actually have data that backs up it's not 0.
Sure.
It might be a 1 with a lot of zeros to the left of it before the decimal.
Oh, totally.
But my point is, it's just an unknown number.
Sure.
And this one is the one that I love the most.
Yeah.
The fraction of those planets that develop intelligent life. And we really don't know. However, looking at tectonic requirements, that I'm going to talk about here in a moment, we've sort of approximated this to be somewhere around, give or take, 0.03% up to maybe 0.2%. Less, significantly less than 1%.
Okay.
What fraction of those planets develop technology? I feel like this one's a little bit of a guess. We're guesstimating 10 to 20%.
Seriously, what I'm hearing when you say that is he has a cute girlfriend.
Well, you could do an upper body. You could do an upper body. She was very cute. Okay, first of all, she just had an astigmatism. You could approximate this number to be, again, it has to be greater than 0 because we have some sort of technology here. It couldn't be any bigger than 100%. So you could at least calculate a range here, and that's, I think, what we've done.
So from 0 to
it's somewhere between 0 and 100%. Yes. Okay, fine. You're coming along here to the math. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Okay, can you turn his mic off, please? Thank you. And then this is actually my favorite.
Yeah.
This is the one that I think has the most effect.
Yeah.
This is the mean length of time that civilizations are detectable.
Okay, and we know that number because how?
This one's fascinating. We approximated this number early to be somewhere between 1,000 years and 100 million years, right? Like Earth years, right?
Earth years, yeah.
Earth years. We now suspect this number is closer to 5,000.
Okay.
And that is kind of fascinating to think about. And I think that just shows you a little bit of what I'll call non-optimism, perhaps realism amongst the scientific community.
Based on a sample
They're
size
basically saying you're only
sure.
Well, I mean, when did we become detectable to external, extraterrestrials? We really probably didn't become detectable until, let's just call it roundly, the 20th century, 1900s.
I like that you think that we had to send up probes and have radio broadcasts and things to be detectable.
Of course, there could be some magic alien technology that could sense us and see us walking around. They have sub 1 centimeter precision from 8 light years away, blah, 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 blah. Sure.
Right.
I'm just saying, if we started when we started beaming a signal out to space, let's just say 1900s, right? Just for the scale of this, just say 1900s.
Yeah.
The current estimation is that we're only going to be doing that for 5,000 years.
We're in countdown.
By the way, I would take the under if you really wanted to ask me. I'd be like, 5,000 years of sending out signal. That seems like a long time. Like we might not make it to the 22nd century, I feel like is where we're at right now.
This to me, this whole Frank Drake thing is black shoals. In finance, we have this thing called black shoals, and it's absolute bonkers. It makes absolutely no sense. But so you got your black shoals of likelihood of extraterrestrials.
How else would you approximate this? There's no other way to approximate it. Like you got to just take some numbers.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I'm much easier. I'm much more truthful saying we have absolutely no idea.
You're happy in your ignorance?
Could be larger than one. I don't know how many planets have life on them, but we know it's at least one.
Yeah, exactly.
Admitting my ignorance makes me less wrong than just assembling a bunch of numbers because I really want an answer.
If you follow, I love that. If you follow this math, right, which you clearly will not because you don't believe it, you just put it all into pseudoscience. I feel like you're better off like going to a palm reader to tell you if there's aliens or not.
I think you'd get just as accurate of a number.
No, you wouldn't. It's math. How do you like everything in the universe has been basically predicted by math? How can you not accept this? Anyway,
because you have such variables that are just completely pulled out of thin air.
We need to get that co-host AI fired up because I feel like that one would be like, no, you're totally spot on. The rough numbers are that unless the odds of advancing life on a habitable planet are less than approximately 1 in 10 to the 22nd, then we're not the only one. Now, 10 to the 22nd is a number that you can't even really fathom, right? 1 billion is 10 to the 9th. Yeah, so this is much bigger than that.
And so I just fathom with more zeros. I'm good.
But it's so hard to approximate that number, or not approximate, it's so hard to visualize that number. Yeah. Just to kind of give you the range of this, that's the weight of the moon. The weight of the moon is roughly 10 to the 22nd in pounds. Wow. Which does kind of give me the rough sense of how big that number is. Sure. Conversely, it's also roughly the number of atoms in a few grains of sand. So that just sort of gives you the scope. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah,
that's
of how big and how small it is.
That's amazing.
It's really pretty incredible. And that's gonna play a part in something I want to talk about here a little bit later. We're talking about the aliens and their size.
Very cool.
It's not the best analogy, but we believe the universe, well, at least some of us that believe in math, I don't know what you believe, is that the universe is roughly 14 billion years old.
I'll go with that.
13.8 billion years is roughly what we think it is.
That's math I can get behind.
That math you're willing to accept. Okay, great.
The 14 billion years, roughly, I'm good. I know how we got there.
So the lack of current detection is likely a function more of the average lifetime of a technological civilization. That's really probably the bigger factor.
Sure.
And if that's true, if we really think that we only last about 5,000 years that we're detectable, roughly speaking, of all civilizations, then the galaxy could be just a graveyard of extinct civilizations that never existed at the same time.
Wow, that's such a grim assessment.
It is somewhat grim, but it kind of makes sense. If you think about it on the cosmic scale, how long we've existed, not just as people, but even as a planet, is so small on the cosmic scale that it does seem to make the most sense that we're not overlapping at the same time.
So what you think is we can get into a starship, the Star Trek Enterprise, and we can go trillions of miles out into space, land on a planet, and there'll be some guys who look pretty much like us and who speak English.
Listen, we can't even agree on the names to put on bathroom doors. You think we're going to fly trillions of miles to another planet? No, I don't think that's going to be the case. I just think the most plausible answer is that there have been and are other life forms, and that we will likely never see them. I think that is the most plausible answer.
We'll never meet those people, sure.
Either because of a temporal issue or a distance issue.
And they won't even be people. They'll be
things, whatever they are,
centimeters high, or they'll be millions, and that's much larger. Yeah,
that's what I want to talk about. This is where it starts to get really interesting. Sure. Are you familiar with some sort of I'll call them recent-ish research that suggests the importance of geology to intelligent life? This one blew my mind because I was not aware of this.
I'm totally up to speed on it. Of course I am. I read about it every night.
Geology Weekly?
Yeah. No, Geology Nightly. I don't wait for the weekly.
You get the nightly builds.
That's outdated information.
That's outdated. Yeah, totally. If there's one thing that moves faster than weekly, it's geology. Geology is the one thing that just speeds right along. Wow, the fast-moving train known as tectonic plates. So
geology is totally an important part of how we create life.
But I didn't know that. I didn't appreciate how important it is.
Your gravitational pull is going to matter. It's going to make a big difference in how you look. Just simple things like that.
Of course.
Yeah.
But specifically around tectonic plates and the ratio of continents to oceans apparently are critical to transition from primitive life to intelligent technology building life. And I didn't appreciate that. Mm-hmm. And they think that those plate tectonics facilitate what they call the carbon silicate cycle. Yeah. And it regulates atmospheric CO2 and maintains a stable climate for billions of years. So that's really important. And I had no idea. Like, the deeper down this rabbit hole you go, the more you realize we are just lucky times a bajillion to be here.
What it makes you feel like is we should complain about the DMV a lot less.
Well,
because the odds of us being here are so small.
I can't speak to that because I go to AAA like a civilized human being.
Okay.
But yes, the odds of us being here are very small. And that's kind of my point to the function, the math earlier that you disagree with, is that it does give you a number. It's just incredibly small from the grand number of planets. You got 1 billion planets. We think we have up to 1 billion planets just in the Milky Way that are rocky. How can you not have intelligent life?
Listen to me. I am so sorry. I don't mean to always point to the clock, but I'm pointing to the clock. There's no way we're going to finish this segment in this episode. Can we come back and have a part 2 to this episode? Would that be cool with you?
All right.
I'm so sorry.
Anyway, aliens. I'm going with they exist.
Yes.
And that we are not going to see them in our lifetime or anytime soon. How about you? Where
that's just heartbreaking.
Is it? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I thought it'd be fun to see the aliens.
We're probably not going to see flying cars.
Oh, wash your mouth out with soap. I was told as a young child we would see flying cars, and I'm holding to that. By the way, we are going to see flying cars.
We might see flying. I mean, we'll surely see flying cars before we see high-speed rail in California.
Okay. All right, we have to get out of here quickly. Before we do, have you seen or read anything good this last week?
I mean, look, it's an episode about aliens. So there are a almost non-enumerable amount of there are too many movies to pick from is what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Independence Day.
And so many good ones, yeah.
Contact, Men in Black, The Fifth Element, all films that I love that had some sort of alien root to it.
And that's before you get to the TV shows like My Favorite Martian and Mork and Mindy.
Well, so I had to take an element of that, right? I had to take an element of sort of the Mork and Mindy's. I'm going to go with Mars Attacks.
Oh, yeah.
Because I really enjoyed that film, right? That's the
Definitely.
1996 American science fiction black comedy directed by Tim Burton.
Yeah, it's great.
I've always enjoyed that film. I didn't know this. The screenplay was based on the Topps trading card series of the same name.
Yeah, sure.
I had never seen it. Also, like the cast in this thing, the ensemble cast is insane, right? You've got Jack Nicholson, who's in a dual role. You've got Glenn Close, Annette Bening, Pierce Bronson, Sarah Jessica Parker, Martin Short, Michael J. Fox. Rod Steiger is in that, which is amazing.
In everything.
Natalie Portman, Danny DeVito, and then, and I also didn't know this, it was Sylvia Sidney's
her last film,
last role. It was her final film role and I always remember her from Beetlejuice fame, which I also loved her in that.
Oh, sure.
So really fun film. It's 30 years old. It's worth a rewatch. And it just kind of frames how I suspect many of us think how not just aliens, but AI is likely going to come to us, right? Which is that it's going to look very friendly and then just try to kill us all. And that's what we think is going to happen. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm saying that's how I think a lot of us frame it.
No, sure.
And that's what's coming. So anyway, that's mine. How about you?
The 1979 film Alien, of course. The crew of the commercial starship Nostromo is heading home when they intercept a mysterious distress signal from a desolate moon. What begins as a routine search and rescue mission spirals into a claustrophobic nightmare as an unidentified organism hitches a ride on board. Trapped in deep space with a rapidly evolving apex predator, the crew is picked off one by one in a terrifying game of hide-and-seek cat and mouse. Director Ridley Scott blends gothic horror with gritty sci-fi, trading high-tech heroics for raw survival. At the center of the chaos is Ellen Ripley, whose steely pragmatism becomes the last line of defense against the perfect killing machine. Alien is a masterclass in atmospheric dread, proving that in space, no one can hear you scream. Alien, so fun. Catch it on Hulu now.
You know, I've actually never seen Alien all the way through.
What?
I know.
Get out of here.
I know. I've seen Mars Attacks several times, but I've seen parts of Alien, but never the whole thing.
It's so good.
I do feel like I need to go watch that.
Hit the space bar.
Of course. What an amazing film.
And it's like just this lovely game of cat and mouse, and you, something funny. You open the door. Oh, it's not the alien. It's just the cat. That's really cute. And then you turn around and it's
behind
the alien,
you.
The jump scare. It's so great.
Well, that's great. Now that you ruined it for me, that's fine. I'm sure.
No, that's basically the whole movie. You owe me $20.
Send me some popcorn. I'll send you $20.
That is the episode.
Thank you for joining us for all this nonsense, a truly terrible podcast from our awful company. Visit us on the web at nonsense.productions. I'm CJ Little.
I'm Jeff Parker.
If you like this program, please follow, download, subscribe, and like at Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, AntennaPod, iHeartRadio, Spotify, my favorite Overcast, or wherever you may get your podcasts from.
Nonsense Studios are guarded from aliens by Barkley the dog. Barkley's a rescue mutt, free and open source. Next time you're tempted to buy an inbred or purebred dog, don't. Get a Barkley. You'll be so glad you did.
You do such a disservice to all the inbred dogs out there.
I do.
Usually you can find us every Tuesday and Thursday morning for more nonsense, but not next week because Jeff and I are off for spring break. But after that, please join us.
Seriously, I'm looking forward to part 2.
Okay.
Do you think the aliens will put on disguise so they look like us? They about our size, about our, just more tan?
They'll just show up looking like Jimmy Buffett. You're like, oh, this is surprising.
That's nice.
It's not what we expected, but okay. Can you play Margaritaville?